Charles Hamaker here from Circling Seattle Sports. I'm joined by Mazvita from CascadiaSports.net. Maz is a good friend, joining him post-game on the pitch. Just did that a minute ago. Maz, I'm here I do a little thing called Around the Sound. It's like a daily update show about the different teams in Seattle. Want to start here. We're on the pitch at Lumen Field with the Sounders. It's 8 straight losses in MLS play. Things are pretty dire. You're a big guy with tactics. I know Brian will always joke, I don't want to talk tactics. Just what did you see today? I know he mentioned a little bit of a change in formation. Just your initial thoughts on this loss, as we're pretty fresh off of MLS defeat 8 in a row for Seattle.
Well, first, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Finally, no, getting back to the Sounders, like you said, Charles, 8 in a row, and really the issue here, injuries. We get that. So today it forced Brian to kind of start with this formation where he had 2 in the middle, but he really couldn't start Snyder Brunel because he was injured. He brought him back in the second half, and so what they started doing was having width. In the first half, the formation that he had, the usual one where he has 4, 2, 3, and then up top is that you use the width. But to be able to do that, you need to get your wing backs up and down the pitch, and that was a missing today. When he brought in Snyder Brunel in the second half, Brunel then, along with Alex Roldan, they were taking on defenders with one pivot and the other one, and that helped kind of put an extra man there with Albert Rusnak up top, who was also supporting Danny Masowski and then eventually Osaze Di Rosario.
Yeah, you mentioned with Snyder, I mean, I didn't know that Snyder had a knock. So to hear that he was dealing with something, as you mentioned, they get him on at half. Jackson Reagan has this. I thought it was kind of odd, Maz, to see him go down. Brian said he hyperextended his knee, come off, come back on. Just they can't catch a break on the injury front. I thought they looked really disjointed in the attack. They were able to get up the field, have a couple balls in dangerous areas, but I just didn't think they looked clinical. Did you see anything in the attack that was promising? I know Brian said it. You lose 8 in a row, there's not a lot of positives, but did you see anything in the attack that says, hey, maybe they are close to a breakthrough?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the issue right now, discombobulation in the final third, and that is the Sounders are able to play from the back, and when teams are pressing them, and regardless of your 2 pivots, whether it's Alex Roldan and then also Brunel, like we talked about, but the issue is getting the ball into that final third, and whether it's the primary system, whether it's the left side or the right side, is crossing the ball there and having runners into the box. So that's the issues that they don't know. That is, when the ball's in the primary system, the runners don't know, should I go right away or shouldn't I go, or should the first guy go, and then where's the secondary run? That's where discombobulation is happening. And so positives, they did score a goal. Positives, they were in the last 10, 15 minutes is they went at defenders.
Yeah.
My issue, and what I tried to ask Brian was, hey, Brian, they got to get the team to play with urgency.
Yeah.
Not in the last 15 minutes, Charles, but when the whistle.
From the get-go.
From the get-go.
Absolutely. I mean, as we've talked about it, I mean, it feels like everyone in the press box can kind of tell things are rough. There are some reports. Brian was kind of poignant about saying, hey, we've had talks, right? So it seems like something's on the way before the window ends on September 1st. Mazvita, do you feel like it's a short week? They play on Saturday in Cincinnati. Do you think that they can put an end to this streak on Saturday? And I'm not a big predictions guy, but do you feel like, based off anything, I know you know a lot of things about this club, that they can break through on Saturday?
There's no reason why they can't, just because I think you've got players, with the Sounders now, each game, one player returns, but right now it's addition plus subtraction, right? But I do believe that they've, Christian is close to getting ready, and they've got more players that are, ready, and so I think they do. I think that whether it's a draw or maybe a win, they are slowly getting their players back.
That's good. That'll do that. Okay, we'll move over to the Seahawks, Maz, because I know you're a guy who's been there. You're on the ground. I saw your video of Trevon Diggs this morning. They added to the cornerback room. There's a lot going on in that cornerback room. They signed Trevon Diggs, used to be with the Cowboys. They add another veteran cornerback. There's the situation with Terry and Arnold. Just what did you take away? Because he was at their camp today. What did you take away from what you heard from him, and anything interesting that you saw down in Renton this morning with the Seahawks?
Yeah, I mean, today they had a kind of a walkthrough.
Okay.
And so really what we got to see was pretty much who's going to play. They will play. They took off tomorrow. They will take off tomorrow, and then they'll end up going to Tennessee for a joint practice on Friday.
Right.
And then they will, which is an open practice, and then they will have a the game is on Sunday. So what they'll do, Friday, they'll have, and joint practices are really, really good for the first team. And that's why you're seeing a lot of NFL teams doing that. I'm going around about way here, Charles. But
no, for sure.
But the thing is, the reason why you like to joint practices, that's where your ones play the ones. And it's also scripted. So it's like, hey, it's 2nd and 10. And it's a number one offense, yours against their number one defense, and it gives the players a chance to really not hold back and go. And that's why you see some of those fights that you're seeing quite a bit, because, I mean, it's all been pent up. What did I see? We'll start with Trevon Diggs. He said all the right things.
Okay.
And here's a guy that was drafted by the Cowboys, and then had a decent first year, but, year two in 2022, 2023, 2021, 22, and 23. Here's a guy that was all pro.
Right.
Then what happens is he gets injured and just couldn't finish year 2020, 2023, 2024. So then he comes back. Cowboys release him. Green Bay picks him up. He plays last season. He played the last game of the season with them. And then also the Packers, and then in their wild card game in which they lost to the Chicago Bears. So he said himself today, this is the best healthy offseason he's had.
Wow.
So it feels healthy.
Okay.
But as far as the cornerback room, the Seahawks are just not really convinced they have the depth that they need. Quality, obviously, they have it with Devon Witherspoon, just got the contract, highest paid cornerback in history, and obviously Josh Jobe is playing well.
Right.
What they're looking at is Nehemiah Pritchard, right? Julian Neal, the rookie. Charles just didn't. He's been injured, so now you start saying, well, what's the nickel package look like?
Right.
And Noah Igmanabi also came in. And I saw, he was in their rotation. So that's why you're seeing them that, they did the reach with Terry Arnold, right? I mean, they're like, let's see. But that was always going to be a long-term signing. I think people understand that. They knew. And I doubt he will play this year now.
Okay.
From the way it looks, maybe late on the season. But the reason why you don't sign him right now is because if you do, he's going to affect your 53-man roster.
Right, absolutely. Seems like kind of stash sort of thing. And, I'm sure you know it better than I do, but John Schneider does his homework. They're not going into this blind. To wrap you up, Maz, I want to ask you what it's been like having Hard Knocks around. I mean, this is different, right? I don't know if the Seahawks have ever been on Hard Knocks, I don't think. Have you noticed it at all since you've been covering the team throughout training camp, or is it maybe just a few other cameramen? You don't really notice it too much.
Annoying. Absolutely annoying. You're sitting there, you're watching the play, and you got your little camera out there, and here comes 5 people, one with a boom mic, and you're like, really? Do you mind? And then they get extra access.
Right.
Yes, I'm hating, but no, it's been good for the players and the personnel. The Hard Knocks people themselves are really cool. I should shout out to Savannah. She went to SAS, and she's actually, can you believe that? And then she got an internship for HBO, and turns out that she got the internship for Hard Knocks, and she's here. So there's good people that are doing Hard Knocks. But Charles, there's 7 of them in a boom mic. They're everywhere, but they're doing good stuff.
There you go. Mazvita, CascadiaSports.net. A true OG over here in Seattle, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll continue around the sound here in the concourse of Lumen Field. We're going over to Louisville, the Reign. We're on the road to play Racing Louisville FC. Seattle does get on the board first. Matty Mercado records her team-leading 7th goal of the season. She stays hot for Seattle and their attack. Things look good. Seattle's got a great record when scoring first this season. Louisville, not so good. They were winless when conceding first this season, but right before the half in the 35th minute, Emma Sears for Louisville is able to get a goal. Not the best defending on that goal that the Reign give up. They give up a 52nd minute goal to Sears. Seattle is unable to get an equalizer. They push at the end. They're not able to get the equalizer, and they'll fall 2-1 on the road. It's
really disappointed with the 2 goals. Just watching both back. Emma Sears looks offside on the first goal, and Maddie Mercado looks like she gets fouled when she goes to compete for the header. But sometimes that's the way the game operates, unfortunately. But those things can happen in games, so we've got to react to them a little bit better than we did. And I just thought in the second half we stopped doing the things that caused them a problem in the first half, and they didn't really change until sort of the last 5 minutes of the game. So yeah, overall just disappointed that we started so well and couldn't be clinical and punish them in those moments. And then when the game started to get challenging, we stopped doing those things.
Their first loss since their first match out of the international break on the road against the North Carolina Courage. They'd gone on this, I apologize. First loss since they lost on the road to Gotham in that super bizarre game where there was delay. The Reign scored a bunch of goals first, and they give up this big comeback to a Gotham team that brought on Esther and Sam Kerr, which is the NWSL equivalent of a super team. The Reign had been in super good form. Well, not super good form. They'd been winning a bunch of games. They did draw against Angel City, which they weren't going to be happy with, but this loss obviously a bit frustrating. They're not able to get multiple goals again, and they end up losing on the road. So they won't be happy with that. They do have another road contest. They aren't back until August 30th here at Lumen Field. They do remain in a playoff spot. They are in the 8th and final playoff spot in the NWSL table, 3 points behind 7th place Kansas City, and I do believe that they'll be playing them up next. We will go over to the Storm. This is technically yesterday's news, but yesterday there was the Run Buds event. Run Buds 2, Natisha Heidemann hosted this big run event out at Green Lake. I will include some clips when I'm done speaking here, but it was really cool to see head coach Sonia Rahman was there, Taylor Theory, Ezzie Magbagor, Jordan Horston in this whole running outfit, but then she had like a designer bag, so it kind of threw off the outfit. That was really cool to see T getting involved in the Seattle community, bought bananas and like clementines, liquid IV, water, pizza for all of those who came out. I believe the registered number of runners for that event was 462. Hoka brought some sponsored gear, hats. I know it was hats. There were some socks as well. I'll put some clips in there from that. That was really cool to see T doing that. We will head over to the Mariners in Milwaukee after the ugly 22-0 loss that they suffered in yesterday's game. They're able to bounce back 7-5, a win to split the series and set up a rubber match tomorrow in Milwaukee before they fly home and start a homestand across the street at T-Mobile Park. They went up 7-0 within the first couple innings. They're feeling great about it. The Brewers start to inch back. They get a couple runs late off Edward Bazardo and Sir Anthony Dominguez. Andres Munoz is able to come in and slam the door shut with his 100th save as a Mariner. He got his 100th career save the last time that he was out on the mound, but he did have one save in 2019 with the San Diego Padres. So this one today is save 100 with the Mariners, not that past one. So we'll wrap it up with some UW news. UW football had their 11th practice of their fall camp, and there was a special guest out there, Miles Gaskin, O'Day alum. I'm sure I could turn it here. I'm sure his helmet is up there on the Football Hall of Fame. The state of football, here at Lumen Field. The Seahawks have up. Great at O'Day, great at Washington. Couple different NFL teams across his career. Wrapped it up here with the Seahawks. He retired from football today in a post. He was at that practice. Also at practice, a familiar face, Grady Gross. With this ruling in college football, the 5-5, Gross gets to come back. He will compete with Tyler Robles. Gross is wearing number 20 because Tyler Robles, who transferred in to be Washington's kicker, is currently wearing number 95. So that's a little bit interesting to see how that goes. It gives Robles some competition and gives Washington another option on kickoffs. So that'll be something to note. Heading over with more Washington news, we'll go to women's soccer to wrap it up. The women's soccer team, who had a magical season last year, had some big news. Alex Buck, one of their forwards, a great young talent, is headed to the U20 World Cup with Team USA. And to sort of put a bow on the day, Washington goes on the road and beats San Diego State by a score of 1-0. Jaden Holden-Reed converts a penalty, in the second half to get Washington the win. So they will come home with a perfect 2-0 record. They'll be happy with that. And that'll wrap up Around the Sound August 19th, 2026. It's 9:52 here, currently inside of Lumen Field. So we'll get this wrapped up. We'll get out of here. Tried to add some UW stuff so that, we're not leaving them out of things. But Charles Hamaker for you. I hope you enjoy the new setup. We're trying to do more here with the video. I've got the new mic flag. Till I see you next time, take care of yourselves, be well, and do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, how about them Huskies?
Ooh, purple and gold, baby.
Yeah. When are you going to watch all those away games, though?
All those away games. There are a lot of them, and I was hoping to come to Rough and Tumble because this is the home of Circling Seattle Sports. If that's okay with you.
I think that's a great idea. Hope to see you all here.